Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Iaquinta versus Cowboy, as I've already predicted the main card fights for this fight card in my prior video or a previous video. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card, our first fight on the prelims, and our first prediction. So in our first fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Mitch Gagnon versus Cole Smith. So Cole Smith's still like a solid fighter. I just think he hasn't really been tested yet, being a lot, this build-up fighter like those, building his resume up right now, but really hasn't fought a test yet. I think his real advantage lies in the fact that Mitch Gagnon has not fought in about, 2 years? I think he fought, didn't fight in 2 years, like 2014 he fought, lost, didn't fight for 2 years, came back in 2016, lost, or was it like 2000, whatever cases. He's been doing this a lot. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He's on 2-fight losing streak and hasn't fought in 2 years, hasn't won in about 4 years. So inactivity, loss, maybe some confidence issues going on. But that's his real advantage. But other than that, I think Mitch Gagnon is by far his best competition. I think Mitch Gagnon is the better striker, better grappler. I don't really see any area that Cole Smith can beat him, except maybe being less rusty, but I can't really lean on him just based off one guy being rusty. I think Mitch Gagnon this is going to be use his experience, use his skill, and this be a learning curve for Cole Smith and beat him a decision. But competitive fight between both, but being a veteran, Mitch Gagnon is going to grind it out and do what needs to be done to win the fight. So in this fight, I got Mitch Gagnon via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the heavyweight division, Bhullar versus Juan Adams. So Juan Adams, semi-impressed with his last performance, but not really. Going against I stuttered right there, going against Bhullar. Both guys are wrestlers. Bhullar trains at a better gym for wrestlers, has better striking, more experience. I think really on Juan Adams' side, maybe he's a little bit bigger, he's younger. But experience-wise, Bhullar is much more experienced, much more composed, much better put together. I think the wrestling, they could even each other out in the wrestling. Striking-wise, I think Bhullar just has the much better technique behind his striking. And that's really what's going to come down. Better, they can neutralize each other in their grappling. But on the feet, Bhullar has much better striking, just knows much better technique. But Juan Adams can certainly improve and, find ways to just focus on that striking and put in his power and working on his foot placement and all that stuff with his striking. Right now, he's still too much of work in progress. And I think Bhullar is just further along and will, like I said, neutralize their grappling. On the feet, I think he picks them apart on the feet. And I think he stops him late in the third. So in this fight, I got Bhullar via third round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Cal Nelson versus Matt Sayles. So you got two guys who came to UFC and lost. Cal Nelson lost to Carlos Diego Ferreira, upper weight class. Matt Sayles lost to that one Brazilian guy that's real good, or decently good. I'm forgetting his name right now, but he just fought Sodiq Yusuff. Oh yeah, Shayman Moraes, that guy. So solid guy that right there. Cal Nelson mostly just got dominated in this fight. Matt Sayles showed a lot of tenacity. I think he outstruck Shayman Moraes, but Shayman Moraes just landed harder strikes. He showed a good durability. He showed good variety to the strikes. I think really he's just the more gritty guy in this fight. It's not like Cal Nelson coming down and being some amazing grappler or nothing. And we look at the trend right now, it's not going down that it's having success. Unless you're maybe a grappler that can really push the pace, one of those gritty, grindy wrestlers are grapplers that can grind the pace on you so that you go down. But more so with strikers, you go up. And Cal Nelson's not really no phenomenal grappler, and he's coming down, so he's going to be slower. Matt Sayles is going to be faster, maybe a little bit more technical on the feet, certainly more gritty, more grindy, more durable, and just, one of those guys that's down to bang. And I think Matt Sayles, it really is going to be, his work rate is going to be too much for Cal Nelson. That speed and that work rate and that grittiness is going to allow him to edge the decision against Cal Nelson. So in this fight, I have Matt Sayles via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, Taleb versus Prepolec. So you got Prepolec making a short notice debut against Taleb. Is Taleb's opponent, Siyar Bahadazada, had to pull out due to some injury or something. So he pulled out. Prepolec stepped up. He's stepping up a division, and he's stepping up on very short notice. So a lot of different things he's going to be stepping up in this fight. So looking at Prepolec, he's an interesting fighter. He has some good prospects to him. But when I look at his skill set, it looks like it still needs some rounding out. Like he has the technique, all the technique he needs, but he needs to sharpen it up. Like see some good hooks to the body, some good shot selection. Like he knows where he wants to do. He knows where to put his shots, where to place his shots, to do positions. but it seems like he just needs to shorten up his strikes. Like he needs to clean up his strikes. That's really what I see in him. Like a good fighter, just needs to clean up his game a little bit. And he's going to be a little bit undersized in this fight because he's coming up from 155. It's not like he's a very big 155er. He's certainly not going to be a big 170 if he's not a big 155er. And Taleb is more on the middle side of 170 as far as size, but he's very filled out for his size. Might not be the tallest, but a decent height. Real strong, real physical. And then one thing about Taleb, he might not be all this, like some big star or some amazing fighter as far as like cream of the crop, but he is one of the most technical welterweights there is at this division, one of the most experienced welterweights there is in the division. And going against a fighter like Cal Prepolec, who I feel needs a lot, like, some more tuning. I think Taleb is just going to be the more cleaner, crisper fighter, the bigger fighter. And he's going to have that experience on the side. And he's going to have that full training camp on the side. So I'm really going to lean heavily to Nordine Taleb in this fight. Just school the newcomer to the UFC, use his experience, use his technique, use the sharpness, use that experience. And like basically win by being the cleaner technician in this fight. I don't think he's going to finish Prepolec or anything. I think it's going to be a good competitive back and forth fight. But Taleb's experience and his skills and his finely tuned skill set are going to show in this fight. And I got Taleb just, like I said, outpointing, outworking, and just being the better technician in this fight. So in this fight, I got Nordine Taleb via decision. Now on to our co-prelim headliner we have in the bantamweight division, Ayman Zahabi versus Vince Moraes. So in a way, both of these guys, in my opinion, are kind of similar. Well, they're not similar in like, their style and this and that, but kind of type of fighter. They're both very technical, very skilled, but not all that impressive. Both kind of got questionable takedown defense. And Zahabi got taken down like twice. I mean, in both his fights in the UFC, got taken down like more than like 2 or more times. Like the first one, he got taken down twice. Second fight, got taken down like 3 times, something like that. Not the most impressive takedown defense. I think Vince Moraes only has like a 23% takedown defense ratio. So both of them lacking in takedown defense. Both of them are pretty skilled on the feet. But I think with Ayman Zahabi is the fact that he took off a whole year. I think he's going to be working on his skills and making sure that what happened in his last fight won't happen again. And he come from a good gym. Like I said, they both kind of in the same position. But I think Ayman Zahabi has the cleaner boxing. He has the better footwork. And just all around, he's just a little bit better than Moraes. And he has the much better team. And I think he's going to come back in this fight and show some improvements in fixing the holes that he showed in his last fight. So that won't happen again. And I think it'll still be a competitive fight. But I just think the technique and the refinement that Zahabi did in that absence is going to show in this fight. And he's going to be at the edge of the fight in a fairly competitive fight, but a clear decision for Zahabi. So in this fight, I got Ayman Zahabi via decision. Now on to our prelim headliner we have in the women's bantamweight division, Macy Chiasson versus Sarah Moraes. So this is probably the easiest fight to pick maybe in the whole year. Just going Macy Chiasson, like just straight up telling you I'm going Macy Chiasson. Sarah Moraes, really all she has is grappling. And Macy Chiasson is much bigger than her. Moraes might be technically the better grappler, but Macy Chiasson can more than hold her own with Moraes in grappling. She's much bigger, a far better striker. With her physicality, she probably could just throw Moraes down and just beat her up from the top and not really worry about nothing. Could defend her takedown easily, could take her down if she wants to and ground and pound her, because it's not like a no grappling matchup. This is an MMA match, so she can take her down, beat her up in the guard, maybe pass over the half guard, beat her up, probably mount her, and just really work her. She's just better just about everywhere. On the feet, she can knock her out. More so, I think she's going to just defend her takedown, pick her apart on the feet, and probably stop in the first round. Just neutralize the takedown because Moraes doesn't have no phenomenal takedown offense. Really, she's just a pure, straight-up grappler with passable striking, solid grappling, no notable takedown offense. So Macy Chiasson just pretty much just picks her apart on the feet and stops her in the first round. So in this fight, I have Macy Chiasson via first round TKO. And that concludes my predictions for the prelim, my prelim predictions for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Iaquinta versus Cowboy. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.